A college degree used to be the closest thing America had to a guaranteed future, and for a long time, it worked. But here's something nobody is saying out loud. The forces destroying college right now have almost nothing to do with student debt. They have nothing to do with tuition costs. And they have almost nothing to do with AI. There is a third threat, one that was set in motion decades ago, that is quietly guaranteeing that hundreds of universities across this country will not survive the next 20 years. For most of the 20th century, the deal was simple. You gave college 4 years and a check. College gave you a credential. That credential unlocked a career. That career built a life, and the numbers backed it up, consistently. Your parents didn't question it. Your high school counselors didn't question it. The system kept growing. Enrollment kept climbing. And then, quietly, around the same time everyone was celebrating the information age, the foundation of that promise started to shift. Between 1980 and today, the average cost of a 4-year college education in the United States has risen by more than 1,200%. Inflation over that same period, about 350%. Let that sink in. The price of college didn't just outpace inflation, it destroyed it. And here's the question nobody asked while this was happening. What exactly got more expensive? Because during those same decades, the cost of accessing information collapsed. In 1985, if you wanted to learn from a world-class economics professor, you had to physically be in that professor's classroom, which meant applying to their university, getting accepted, and paying whatever they charged. Today, that same professor's lectures might be on YouTube, for free, right now. The internet made knowledge abundant. So why did college keep getting more expensive? Because universities figured something out very early. They weren't really selling knowledge anymore. They were selling something more powerful than knowledge. They were selling permission. Permission to apply for certain jobs. Permission to be taken seriously. Permission to be in the room. And as long as employers required that permission slip, the degree universities could charge almost anything they wanted, which they did. But what happens when employers start questioning whether the permission slip is even necessary? That's where things get interesting. Imagine you're a recruiter at a large company in 2010. 10,000 people just applied for a mid-level role. You cannot possibly evaluate 10,000 people, so what do? You filter. And for decades, the college degree was the most efficient filter anyone had. Not because a degree proved the person was brilliant, but because completing a 4-year degree proved something more valuable to employers, that the person could follow through on a long-term commitment, show up consistently, manage deadlines without someone holding their hand. The degree wasn't a measure of knowledge, it was a proxy for reliability, and then, slowly, then all at once, companies started discovering something uncomfortable. The proxy was breaking. Google removed degree requirements in 2021, Apple followed. IBM, Tesla, Whole Foods, Delta Airlines. By 2024, nearly 45% of job listings from major employers had quietly dropped the 4-year degree requirement, a figure that was under 15% just a decade earlier. Why? Because better filters started appearing, skills assessments, work portfolios. Why ask someone if they studied design when you can just ask them to show you a design? And this is exactly where most people get this wrong. Most people think college is competing against trade schools, boot camps, or apprenticeships. It's not. College is competing against proof, and proof has never been easier to produce. But here's where it gets even more uncomfortable, because we haven't talked about AI yet. What happens when AI eliminates the entry-level jobs that college graduates were counting on to start their careers? Think about how careers have always worked. You start at the bottom. You do the unglamorous work, the research, the reports, the first drafts. But AI is quietly removing the bottom rungs of that ladder. Basic coding? AI handles it. First draft of a legal brief? AI handles it. Market research, synthesis? AI handles it. Careers aren't disappearing entirely, but the on-ramp, the part where you learn by doing, is getting automated away. Why would a student spend 4 years and $120,000 training for the entry-level version of a job that may not exist when they graduate? And before you think this is all doom, I need to tell you about the twist, because AI doesn't just threaten college. Here's what the college is dying crowd consistently gets wrong. They assume all degrees are equal. They're not, and the gap is about to get much wider. What doesn't collapse? The value of doing things that require judgment under pressure. These roles require something AI cannot replicate in the near term: trust, accountability, humanity. So the future probably isn't that college collapses. The future is that college fractures. Society isn't just paying for the knowledge these professionals have. Society is paying for a human being who will be held responsible for the outcome. So the future probably isn't that college collapses. The future is that college fractures. If you're spending $60,000 a year to study something that AI can already produce on demand, that's a harder conversation. And it's a conversation this industry is desperately trying to avoid. Now we get to the threat I mentioned in the first 30 seconds, the one that has nothing to do with debt, nothing to do with AI, and almost no one is talking about: demographics. Starting in the mid-1970s, the American birth rate began a long, slow decline. It dipped, it partially recovered, it dipped again after 2008, and after 2020, it fell to the lowest levels ever recorded in American history. Here's why that matters for colleges. The children born in 2008, the year the birth rate fell sharply off a cliff, turn 18 in 2026. This year, that means the pool of traditional college-age students is about to shrink dramatically, and it's going to keep shrinking for the foreseeable future. Demographers have a name for this. They call it the enrollment cliff. It's not a prediction. It's not a theory. The students who would have enrolled in 2030 have already been born. There are simply fewer of them. Now combine that with everything else we've already talked about. Higher costs driving skepticism, employers dropping degree requirements, AI automating entry-level jobs, and now, a structurally shrinking pool of potential students. This is not one problem. This is 4 problems hitting at the same time. And for smaller, less selective institutions, many of them do not have a plan for surviving all 4 of these simultaneously. We've already seen it start. Since 2016, more than 90 colleges and universities in the United States have closed, merged, or announced closure. Let's be clear. College is not going to disappear, but the version of college that your parents went to, that version is being replaced, whether you're ready or not. Here's what the evidence actually points toward. First, education becomes more modular. Instead of one 4-year credential, people will increasingly stack shorter, more specific certifications across their careers. You go back when the industry shifts, you learn the new skill, you move on. Second, demonstrated ability starts to matter more than credentials. The portfolio replaces the diploma in a growing number of fields. What you've built becomes more important than where you studied. Third, the prestige gap widens dramatically. Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they'll be fine. The value of elite credentials may actually increase as mid-tier credentials weaken. It's everything in the middle that's in trouble. Fourth, the cost structure has to break eventually. You cannot indefinitely charge $300,000 for a 4-year experience when the outcomes are increasingly uncertain. Something gives. Either prices drop, value increases, or enrollment craters. Here's what this means for you specifically. If you're a parent of a young child right now, the educational path that worked for you may not be the right default for them, because the options are changing faster than the advice people give. If you're currently in college, the most valuable thing you can do is not finish your degree. It's finish your degree and build a body of work that proves what you can do. The credential is the floor now, not the ceiling. And if you're an adult wondering whether your degree will hold its value long-term, the answer depends almost entirely on your field. The further your work is from what AI can replicate, the more secure you are. The question the future is asking is no longer, where did you go to school? It's, what can you actually do? And for the first time in generations, those are 2 very different questions. For 50 years, the path was clear. Follow the steps, get the degree, build the life. That path isn't gone, but it's no longer the only path, and for the first time, it might not even be the best path, depending on who you are and what you want. So here's what I want to know from you. If you were starting over from scratch, knowing everything you know now, would you still make the same choices about college? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And if you want to understand the next piece of this puzzle, what AI is actually doing to the job market, not the headlines version, but the real underlying shift, that's what the next video is about. Because compared to what's coming in the labor market over the next 10 years, the college story is just the warm-up.